Have you ever stopped to wonder why we all feel this constant needs to be recognized, validated, or acknowledged by others? We strive for success, but is it the success itself that we're really after, or the applause that comes with it? What if I told you that the most profound growth, the most genuine sense of purpose, happens when we stop seeking external validation and allow ourselves to shine from within? Today, we're diving deep into the concept of shining without the desire to be seen, how to cultivate inner fulfillment that doesn't depend on the opinions or perceptions of others. So, whether you're someone who feels trapped by societal expectations, a recovering people pleaser, or just someone looking to connect with your authentic self, this episode is for you. Let's get started. The desire to be seen and recognized is a very human trait. Evolutionarily speaking, our ancestors relied on being part of a tribe for survival, so being seen and acknowledged was directly tied to safety and security. Today, however, we don't need that kind of validation to survive, yet the drive remains strong. Social media, workplace achievements, and even our personal relationships can sometimes turn into arenas where we compete for recognition. But what if we were to challenge this deep-seated desire to be seen? What if we shifted our focus from external validation to internal satisfaction? What would that kind of life look like? Shining without the need to be seen doesn't mean withdrawing from the world or giving up on success. It means living authentically, pursuing growth for the sake of personal evolution rather than applause. It's about becoming a lighthouse, radiating light not because it wants recognition, but because it is its nature to shine. Let's break this down. The desire to be seen, where does it come from? We have to begin by asking, where does this desire to be seen come from? Well, humans are social animals. We evolved to survive in groups, and in those early days, being recognized, accepted, and respected by our peers was crucial. This isn't necessarily a bad thing. In fact, it's what has enabled humans to form communities, cooperate, and build civilizations. But in modern times, this evolutionary wiring has collided with a culture of constant exposure, social media, performance metrics at work, and the pressure to be always on. What was once a survival instinct is now fueling anxiety, self-doubt, and unhealthy comparisons. We're trapped in the endless loop of seeking validation, whether through likes, promotions, or social recognition. Cultural conditioning, the need for performance from a young age. We're taught that success is tied to being recognized. Whether it's getting good grades, being praised for our talents, or standing out at work, external markers of success become ingrained in our psychology. As we grow older, this conditioning becomes part of our identity. We start equating visibility with value. If we aren't seen, we must not be important, right? And yet, this logic is deeply flawed. It ties our self-worth to things outside of our control. So, the more we seek to be seen, the more we lose touch with our authentic selves. The real question is, what happens when we let go of this external need and focus inward? The trap of seeking external validation. When we constantly seek validation from others, we enter a dangerous cycle. It's like chasing a mirage. It always looks achievable, but the moment we get close, it disappears, and we're left wanting more. The comparison trap. We live in a world where it's easier than ever to compare ourselves to others. Social media shows us the highlight reels of other people's lives, making us feel inadequate in comparison. This constant exposure creates a distorted perception of success and happiness, where we only feel valuable if we're outperforming someone else. The problem with this approach is that no matter how successful or happy you become, there will always be someone who appears to be doing better. When your sense of worth is tied to being seen, you'll never truly feel fulfilled because there's always a bigger stage, a larger audience, or a higher goal to reach. Burnout and emotional exhaustion. Another issue with chasing external validation is the inevitable burnout. When your sense of self-worth depends on how others perceive you, you're constantly performing. You might take on too many responsibilities, stretch yourself too thin, or chase goals that don't even align with your true passions. This leads to emotional exhaustion. You're working so hard to maintain an image that you lose touch with your inner world, the place where true peace and fulfillment reside. Dependence on others for happiness. When we rely on external validation, we place our happiness in the hands of others. If we receive praise or recognition, we feel good. If we're criticized or ignored, we feel worthless. This constant up and down can create an unstable emotional foundation, making it hard to find lasting peace or contentment. So, how do we break free from this cycle? Shining from within. The power of authenticity. If the desire to be seen is a trap, then what's the alternative? The answer lies in learning how to shine from within, how to cultivate a sense of purpose, fulfillment, and joy that comes from your own inner alignment, not from external recognition. Understanding the concept of internal validation. Internal validation is the idea that your worth isn't determined by outside forces. It's about knowing who you are, what you stand for, and what you want to achieve, independent of how others see you. It's about asking yourself, what makes me feel fulfilled? What gives me purpose? And how can I live in alignment with my own values, not the expectations of society or others? The role of mindfulness and self-reflection. One of the key practices to develop internal validation is mindfulness. When we're constantly focused on external validation, we lose sight of our inner selves. Mindfulness practices like meditation, journaling, and self-reflection help us reconnect with our true desires and intentions. They help us notice when we're being pulled into the trap of comparison or when we're seeking approval from others. By cultivating a practice of mindfulness, we can catch ourselves in moments of insecurity or doubt and refocus our energy on what truly matters, our own inner growth. Living with intention. When you're no longer seeking validation from others, you start to live with intention. This means making choices based on what aligns with your values and what brings you joy, rather than what you think will impress others. You stop living for the applause and start living for the journey itself. Living with intention requires self-awareness and courage. It's about recognizing when you're following a path that doesn't serve you and having the strength to course correct. It's about being true to yourself, even if that means disappointing others. Practical strategies to shine without being seen. Let go of the need for approval. This isn't easy, especially in a world where we're conditioned to seek approval from a young age. But letting go of the need for approval starts with recognizing that your worth is not dependent on what others think of you. Start practicing small acts of courage, saying no when you mean no, pursuing a passion that might seem unconventional, or speaking your truth even if it's uncomfortable. Focus on process, not outcomes. One of the most powerful ways to shift from seeking external validation to internal fulfillment is to focus on the process, not the outcome. Whether you're working on a creative project, a personal goal, or your career, make it about the journey. When you enjoy the process for its own sake, rather than for the accolades you might receive, you start to experience deeper satisfaction. Cultivate a growth mindset. A growth mindset is the belief that your abilities and intelligence can be developed through hard work, effort, and persistence. It contrasts with a fixed mindset, which believes that talent and intelligence are static and unchangeable. When you cultivate a growth mindset, you stop worrying so much about how you're perceived by others. Instead, you focus on learning, growing, and improving for your own sake. Surround yourself with people who reflect your authentic self. It's hard to shine from within when you're surrounded by people who constantly seek validation or judge you by external measures. Surround yourself with people who encourage your authentic self to emerge, friends, family members, or mentors who value you for who you are, not what you achieve. These people won't just support you when you succeed, they'll be there for you during the tough times, when you're struggling or feeling unsure of yourself. Having a support system of like-minded individuals makes it easier to cultivate internal validation. The paradox of shining without the desire to be seen. Here's the beautiful paradox. When you allow yourself to shine from within, when you live authentically without the desire to be seen, that's when you actually start to make a real impact. People are drawn to authenticity. When you're no longer performing for the approval of others, you become a source of inspiration. Think of the most inspiring figures in your life. Chances are, they aren't the ones constantly seeking attention. They're the ones who live with purpose, who radiate an inner confidence and peace that doesn't depend on external recognition. When you stop worrying about being seen, your energy shifts. You become more focused, more intentional, and more at peace with yourself. You radiate a quiet confidence that others can sense. Ironically, it's often in this state of being, when you're not trying to be seen, that others truly notice you. But the difference is, their attention no longer holds power over you. Whether they notice you or not doesn't change your sense of self-worth. You've untangled your value from their validation. This brings us to an important realization. The desire to be seen is a distraction from living authentically. When you live in alignment with your values, when you cultivate internal validation, you're no longer chasing fleeting moments of approval. Instead, you're experiencing lasting fulfillment and peace. The role of purpose in shining from within. Purpose plays a huge role in helping you shine without the need to be seen. When you have a sense of purpose, whether it's your career, your relationships, your creative endeavors, or simply your approach to life, you shift your focus from impressing others to fulfilling your own mission. Discovering your purpose is a deeply personal journey, but it often starts with asking yourself powerful questions. What makes you feel alive? What kind of work or contribution brings you joy? What are the core values that guide your life? Purpose doesn't have to be tied to your job or a grand vision. It can be found in simple daily practices, in how you show up for others, or in the small ways you strive to leave the world a little better than you found it. When your actions align with your purpose, you no longer need external validation to feel whole. You're grounded in something deeper than the praise of others. Purpose becomes your internal compass, guiding you toward a life of meaning and satisfaction. When you embrace purpose over performance, you stop measuring your worth by external metrics like accolades, money, or social recognition. Instead, you measure your success by how closely you align with your purpose. Are you living in a way that feels true to your core values? Are you making choices that bring you closer to what matters most to you? This shift in perspective allows you to focus on what truly matters. It helps you let go of the noise, the endless pressure to be noticed, admired, or envied. You're no longer performing for an audience. You're living for yourself and your deeper purpose. The practice of letting go of the need to be seen is a practice, not a one-time decision. It requires conscious effort to break the habit of seeking external validation. But with practice, it becomes easier, and eventually, it becomes second nature. Start your day with affirmations that reinforce your worth. Remind yourself that you don't need others' approval to feel valuable. Practice self-compassion when you notice yourself slipping into old patterns of people-pleasing or seeking validation. It's okay to have moments of doubt. The key is to be gentle with yourself and refocus on your internal sense of worth. For example, affirmations like, "I am enough just as I am," or "I find joy in living authentically," regardless of who is watching, can help rewire your mind to value your internal world over external opinions. One of the biggest obstacles to letting go of the desire to be seen is perfectionism. We often believe that we need to be flawless to be worthy of recognition. But when you embrace imperfection, you allow yourself to be human. You stop putting pressure on yourself to perform at an impossible standard. You accept that it's okay to make mistakes, to not have all the answers, and to be a work in progress. Embracing imperfection doesn't mean you stop striving to be better. It means you stop holding yourself to unrealistic expectations. It allows you to find joy in the journey, rather than being fixated on the destination. Being present is one of the most powerful tools in letting go of external validation. When you're fully engaged in the moment, you stop worrying about how others perceive you. Whether you're in a conversation, working on a project, or simply spending time with loved ones, mindfulness brings you back to what really matters. It helps you focus on the experience rather than the outcome, allowing you to appreciate the here and now without the need for recognition. The more you practice mindfulness, the more you'll notice when you're being pulled back into the desire to be seen. Each time you bring yourself back to the present, you strengthen your ability to shine without needing an audience. The long-term benefits of living authentically. When you stop seeking to be seen, something profound happens. You start to live in alignment with your true self, and this alignment brings with it a wealth of benefits. Let's explore some of the long-term effects of shining from within. When you're no longer trying to impress or perform for others, your relationships become more authentic. You attract people who appreciate you for who you truly are, not for the image you project. Your conversations become more meaningful, and your connections deepen because they're built on honesty, vulnerability, and mutual respect, rather than superficial admiration. Success that's built on external validation is fragile. It can crumble the moment you lose the applause. But success that comes from within, from living in alignment with your values and purpose, is sustainable. It's not dependent on others' approval, so it can weather challenges and setbacks without making you feel like a failure. When you shine from within, your definition of success changes. It's no longer about how much recognition you get or how many accolades you accumulate. Instead, it's about the impact you make, the fulfillment you experience, and the integrity with which you live your life. The desire to be seen can feel like a heavy burden, weighing you down with the constant need to perform, impress, and maintain a certain image. When you let go of that desire, you experience emotional freedom. You no longer feel the pressure to live up to others' expectations or to constantly prove your worth. This emotional freedom allows you to explore life with curiosity and openness. You're free to take risks, to try new things, and to follow your passions without fear of judgment. You become more resilient because your sense of self is grounded in who you are, not in what others think of you. The ripple effect of inner growth. Here's the thing about shining without the need to be seen. It has a ripple effect. When you live authentically, you inspire others to do the same. Your courage to let go of external validation becomes a beacon for those around you. People will notice your inner peace, your confidence, and your sense of purpose. They'll be drawn to your authenticity because it's rare in a world that often values image over substance. And while you're not seeking to be seen, the impact you make will be far greater than if you were chasing recognition. By living this way, you create a positive ripple effect in your community, your family, and even in the world. You give others permission to stop performing and to start living more authentically, just by being yourself. At the core of this concept is a paradox. When you allow yourself to shine without the desire to be seen, you become a light in the world that others cannot ignore. Your authenticity speaks louder than any performance ever could. And yet, the beauty of it all is that you're no longer attached to whether or not others see you. Your value comes from within. So, the next time you feel that familiar pull to impress, to perform, or to seek validation, pause. Take a deep breath. Remind yourself that you are already enough. The world doesn't need your performance. It needs your authenticity. Let your light shine, not for the applause, but because it's who you are. And in doing so, you'll find a deeper, more lasting fulfillment than you ever thought possible. If you found this episode meaningful, take a moment to reflect on your own life. Where are you still seeking external validation? What areas of your life could benefit from a shift toward internal fulfillment? Write down one action you can take today to start shining from within without the need to be seen. And if you want to dive deeper into this journey of self-discovery and personal growth, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode, and leave a comment below sharing your insights. I'd love to hear your thoughts and how you're applying these ideas to your life. Remember, the world needs your authentic self, not your performance. Let your light shine.